So when one speaks of treasures in the heavens, this isn't only about the vast secret chambers of the rain, the snow, the hail, the wind, the lightning, so on and so forth. This is also the deep hidden wisdom. And it also is the power that controls these treasures. God's treasure is a source, not only of the elements that sustain life, but this is also a source of light and knowledge. And what this does is it endows them with that power. And the life-giving fusion of divine wisdom with primal element. This is often described in the religious texts as a fountain, or something to the effect of overflowing waters, which shine, coming forth from the treasure chest of radiance, along with all the other shining treasures. This is why God is light, according to the Scriptures. This is the principle behind this. The concept, thy throne has been prepared, the treasures of wisdom beneath thy throne, has also been prepared along with the throne. Well, this is more than a figure of speech. Why? Because the heavenly waters, well, these are important to life on earth. Yes, without rain, you get a Sahara desert, and not very much can live without water. So it produces life. If it's effectively used, it must be gathered in and assigned to particular treasure houses. See, God is enthroned in the midst of his heavenly hosts. And what he does is he explains this plan of creation to them. And then he opens up the treasure chest and he shows them. He says, look, these are the wondrous storehouses of stuff. And this is the stuff we're going to use to make the worlds. And it's in a preliminary state, though. It's like unripe fruit that does not know what it is to become. And so this all requires strict organization. And the theme is the idea of blessing. Even though there is great difficulty, there's an element of opposition with this idea of the treasures of the heaven, there's also a blessing. And the blessing is this renewal of life. And see, on the cosmological scale, now this renewal is shown with Abraham was going to be sacrificed on facsimile number 1, and then on number 3, he's all of a sudden bestowed great honors. Now, I just acquired Joseph Fitzmyer's analysis of the Genesis Apocryphon out of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and he notes this same theme. Pharaoh is mad at Abraham, of course. Abraham lied to him. He said, well, no, this isn't my wife, this is my sister. He was saving his own skin, you see. This is one way to look at it. But actually, Pharaoh turns around and bestows great gifts, great honor, and Abraham is not wiped out. He is restored and renewed anew as the surviving living king. That's our Abraham on Pharaoh's throne in facsimile number 3. Nibley describes the cosmological process here. This is on page 181 in his Old Testament related studies. At a new creation, there is a reshuffling of the elements. And the analogy here is really interesting. This is like the rearrangement of notes in the musical scale to make a new composition. See, the old worlds, they are dismantled. And what happens here is this is supplying stuff for the making of new and better worlds. Beginning with the very old Egyptian idea recently examined by E.A.E. Raymond. The creation of the world was really a recreation, and how this occurred is there was a transformation of the substances. And these used to be used in the creation of other worlds. Well, now we get them for new and yet better, different recreations of other worlds. The old worlds are alternatively organized into new stars and planets, and when they have served their time, they're scrapped, they're decontaminated, and they're reused in yet new and more worlds. This Urstoff that is being constantly recycled is the tohu vavohu of the Hebrew Genesis account. These are the ultimate forms of matter in fire and ice. There is no creation ex nihilo. And the real beauty of all of this is on a cosmological scale, or on a human scale, or even on an earthly scale, with the renewal and changing of the seasons. This is the pattern and theme found in the Book of Abraham along with the facsimiles. That was my point of bringing out this principle of the atonement. Nibley says on his Treasures in the Heavens on page 187, the treasures in the heavens, well, this is pretty heady stuff. E. L. Sherboneer has observed that the discovery that man really belongs to the same family as God, to share in the same kind of existence which God himself enjoys, this is like learning one has won the sweepstakes. This is the good news, is it not? Amidst all of the fiery trials, amidst all of the great, enormous, astonishing difficulties that Abraham experienced, with all these phenomenal trials that would cave in any man with any just single one trial, and Abraham endured trial after trial after trial, also came the greater blessings, the greater treasures, the greater capability, the greater capacity to enlarge, increase, and share further light and knowledge, which of course brings further and greater joy into people's lives. This is the substratum that Nibley is trying to bring out with the patternism in the Egyptian aspects of the Book of Abraham. And it's a obvious pattern once you begin to note the wider correspondences. See, it would be like if we were to take the weather today in our own hometown and describe it. We can see the patterns, but if that is the only width, breadth, and depth which we participate in, which we decide, we will learn about the weather in our hometown, and that is the total sum of reality. We are going to miss the wider ramifications, aspects, and patterns of the weather in our state or in our particular territory. And yet there is a wider, more congruent pattern when we look over the entire country, and this itself is still but a smaller subset and segment and section of the greater weather pattern across the entire earth. In order to see that, you must look at the clouds and the winds and the formation as well as the ocean currents, not only of Asia, not only of Australia and Africa and Europe and Arctica and Antarctica, but of North and South America. You must cover all the sides, all of the nations and cultures, and the total global view. This is all Nibley is trying to do. He's saying in ancient history there is a whole lot more to this information than just the ancient Hebrew view. As enlightening as that is, as interesting as that is, and quite frankly, as valuable as that is not the whole story. We get a fuller, firmer, better grasp about all of the oddities that we find in these ancient stories if we realize the ancients had worldwide rituals and significance based on astronomical observations of the different seasons, as Gaster said in Thespis, and as is indicated in an enormous amount of Nibley's writings. And believe it or not, it's in the Book of Abraham. Truly. I'm very serious when I say that. So, that's the background. That's the idea of, this is to try to help you understand a little bit more of you, Nibley. So thanks for participating with me in these Backyard Professor podcasts. I hope you enjoy them. I certainly enjoy doing them. Remember, I'll see you on the next podcast. And remember, have a great life.